basil propagation. Let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to try out water propagation for basil specifically. And propagating any kind of plant is basically you just take a live living plant that's healthy, clip some off, and then you can put it in water or you can put it directly into soil. I'm choosing to go the water route just because putting it in soil, it is a little bit trickier. You have to have it very, very wet. And a lot of people use a rooting hormone to kind of stimulate the growth of the roots. I don't think it's very expensive, but I'd rather just go the water route. So yesterday I got these beautiful homegrown tomatoes from my parents while I wait for mine to start to grow. And I quickly realized I don't have enough herbs for what I actually want to do with all of my my sauces and tomatoes and stuff. So I thought, you know what? Instead of going out and buying one, I'll just try my hand at trying to grow my own. It's supposed to be a fairly simple process, and from what I've researched, it honestly really is. Let's run through just the basic tools that you would need to do propagation. It's really simple. So first of all, obviously, you need a live plant, one that's healthy. If your herbs or your plant don't look good, or maybe they're yellowing, looking limp, I would not suggest propagation, because essentially if you cut too much off of a plant, you're going to kill the whole plant anyway. So even if and plus you don't want to take a unhealthy clipping necessarily and plant it. You know, you want to give your clipping the best start at life, basically, and not kill your existing plant, because that kind of defeats the purpose. You want more, not less, basically. The second thing you need is something to clip with. These are larger pruning shears. You can get smaller micro clippers. I don't have any of those, so I'm just going to use these. But really, for something like basil, it's very soft. It's not a woody plant, the kind that I have. If you don't want to go out and buy something like this, times are tough, I get it. You can just use normal kitchen scissors. Just make sure that, especially if you use them in your kitchen, that they're clean. You can even sterilize them with alcohol. These have already been cleaned, so we're good to go. Then you just need something to actually put the clippings in. And honestly, I have this little shot glass that I'm gonna put mine in. Doesn't have to be anything real fancy. You know, some places sell propagation kits with that are actually very, very aesthetically pleasing as well. But if you're trying to do everything on a budget like moi, all you need is something that is, I would say, go for glass, because it's sturdy and it's gonna hold the clipping and it's not gonna tip over on you. I have just this pretty little shot glass that somebody gave me from the Bahamas. I wish I've been, but I never have. But that's what we're gonna do this week. All right, so I got you in a close-up shot here. So essentially the first thing you wanna decide is how much to take and where to clip. So I've been kind of testing this out for a bit. And I'm gonna show you my first fail, which is down here at the bottom. I clipped a whole stem down at the bottom just to kind of see how much I could get away with. And you can see it's literally dead down here. So what I did is I clipped all the way down at the root and took an entire stem of basil. That's definitely, as you can see, a really big no-no, because the whole thing is just going to die. So essentially what you're wanting to do is you want to clip off just enough to promote growth. And you honestly don't even really need a very big stem, in my opinion. Like, this is just a normal size shot glass, something that is going to stick out of the top of the shot glass, and that's about really all you need. So this guy, you can see here, I've already clipped on, and I'm just gonna leave him be. You usually want about 4 to 5 inches of growth to about here. So I've got from here to here. I think that's gonna give me a long enough cutting to where I'm gonna get a nice growth. So what I'm gonna do here is, you see you have all these leaves right here. I'm gonna cut just above all of those leaves. That way these can continue to grow and give you more basil, and then you're gonna get your nice clipping. So I'm gonna give maybe just like a centimeter above all of those. And then you see all of these leaves. You don't want to have all of these leaves here, because essentially what you're trying to do is to take this clipping and sprout roots out here. You wanted just an energy down to the bottom to grow roots. So, and don't worry, we're not going to waste all of these because I plan on using these. So you're just going to clip all of these extra leaves off. I try to clean it up the best that I could, but essentially you have a nice clean stem, and all the energy is going to go straight down to the bottom here, and it's going to hopefully give us roots. I just put normal tap water into a shot glass, and that's what I'm going to use to propagate. And you quite literally just drop, and that's it. Like I said, leave a little bit of room over the top, that way it has it's not going to fall down completely into it, because you don't want to submerge the whole thing. But you definitely want to get your whole bottom root in there, right? Plenty of water, it can soak in and start to grow. So I just put the clipping here in a window. It's right where my other herbs live, so it'll be in the same environment. Should do just fine. Day 30 of our basil propagation. So time for the big reveal. And we have roots, y'all. Officially roots. And quite honestly, that was pretty much the easiest sort of growing that I've ever done. The only thing that I had to do in that full 30 days is that I had to fill this little shot glass with more water, and that's pretty much it. It sat in a window the whole time. It was really so easy, and you could even look back and compare. All of these like beautiful leaves grew the whole time too. I will say that if I ever did this again, which I probably will, is that at the very base of the stem, you can see that there's some stems that are trying to grow. And I would say the first 7 days that I put this in water, all of the energy was spent trying to grow new stems versus new roots. So if I could go back, I would cut as safely and closely to the stem as possible, and that will send all the energy directly down to the root. Other than that, it was pretty easy. But honestly, the next step after this, is to, ants, quite literally take it. I'm gonna put a little hole a few inches deep, and then I'm gonna just carefully bury the clippet in soil. And that is all you gotta do. The only other thing you have to do once it's in soil is to make sure that the soil it goes into is very, very, very wet. I would say very saturated. I'm gonna dump the rest of the water in there. We've had days worth of a lot of rain, so this whole bed is just filled with water. I haven't literally had to water any of my plants in over a week. I know some of you guys in your hotter climates are probably jealous of that. As far as water propagation goes, it's probably the easier method that you can go about trying to source new plants from clippings, but it's certainly not the only way that you could do this. Now I'm going to show you a second method of propagation right now. The next way to propagate clippings is quite literally to just take a plant, clip it, and put it directly into soil. I do think that water propagation is probably easiest, because you quite literally just clip it and put it into water, and you just could walk away. I literally didn't really do anything for the majority of the 30 days but refill it with water. But this one I felt like I had to kind of baby a little bit more, because kind of like with the other plant, the idea is to keep it very, very hydrated. It didn't need to be very soupy, soggy, or sitting in water, but the soil itself had to be very, very hydrated, very moist. You can see how just like wonderful it's been growing here. Is that especially with a plant like tomatoes, they get very tall. You want to make sure it's like structurally sound. So I had to make sure it was sound in the soil. In my area, I'm in zone 7, so we have very like hot, humid days, like nearly 90-degree days, if not higher sometimes. And I had to make sure this was constantly wet. And I would say in the first at least 5 to 7 days ish, I made sure the soil was just wet at all times. So I was watering it multiple times a day. And these are two different plants, basil versus a tomato plant. But the theory is kind of the same. Moisture is key to getting roots to sprout. So for this one that I put in soil, like I said, I do have to baby it a lot more, but after the fact, I don't have to take it out and transplant it. But really, the good thing about gardening is that you garden to your lifestyle or what you just prefer to do. So for me, which one would I rather do? I would probably do both. It just depends on, what type of plant I'm working with. For smaller clippings like the basil, I'll probably just put it in, a small cup of water and just let it grow. For something taller like this, I would probably keep it outside, outside in the soil, just because that's what I have the room for. Let me know what you think. I know people who do propagation pretty regularly, or they have, greenhouses. There's like so many different techniques. If you have a special technique that you like to use, let me know that down below. Which one do you prefer? I think I kind of like both. Soil, I don't mind it so much because I'm out here constantly looking at my plants anyways, so I don't mind to have to keep watering it. But give me a like, let me know what you think, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.